I don't think these two are comparable in any way. Look, the fact that you still remember India shining speaks volumes of the effectiveness of the campaign. But no campaign in itself can make you win or lose elections. That apart. Now let's address ourselves to the so-called 4th anniversary of the second term of UPA. Dilip Cherian is a very dear friend and he's talking a lot of economics. I just want to say that the failure of this government is not just on the front of economics. Let's look at corruption. Let's look at governance. Let's look at law and order. Let's look at national security. Let's look at terrorism. Let's look at the undermining of the institutions like CAG, CBI, CBC, Parliament, JPC, PSC. You know, there's a whole list of misdeeds which this government has specialized in. And what has happened is it's not just that this government has demolished itself. It has been a blow to the entire prestige of the polity of this country. The cynicism towards the polity of this country has increased in the last 4 years because the way insensitively the government has dealt with the issue of corruption specifically. You see, the conduct of Pawan Kumar Bansal, the conduct of Ashwani Kumar, the conduct of Jaiswal, the conduct of, Colgate, Choppergate, the conduct of each minister who has been accused of corruption has been so indefensible. But yet, the government has chosen to side with them, the government has chosen to be defiant to public sensibility. And that has not only hurt the Congress, which will be apparent, because if a report card was to be published, you will have only all reds. 0, 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
That's the kind of score they will probably score on all various parameters of governance.
Okay, fair point.
But it has damaged the credibility of the entire political system. And that's a bigger damage the government has done.
Okay, hold on, Mr. Mittal. I have some more questions for you. I'll come back to you. Mohammad Salim, leader of the CPIM, has also joined us from Kolkata. Mr. Salim, if polls were to be held today, and there is this new survey that we are reading in papers today, if polls, and it claims that if polls were to be held today, the NDA would wipe out the UPA, and what also would happen was that regional parties, especially also the left, would come in a very strong position to actually determine who would make the next government. Now, we also have the view that because NDA is not really there, the JDU is drifting away, the UPA's allies are deserting them. Do you think that this is the right time to hold elections, to go for early polls? And also, do you think that the 4 years that UPA have completed today, is there anything much to celebrate about?
I don't think there is anything to celebrate about, and neither the Congress is in a mood to celebrate it, nor the nation. And because the people are suffering in the hands of this UPA 2 government, and people are also observing the difference between the UPA 1 and UPA 2. During the UPA 1, the left were being accused, but at least there was some sort of accountability. We were also trying to keep this UPA 1 government on track, but in UPA 2, it's totally out of track. They've forgotten all the promises they have made, and they could not deliver. On the other hand, the price rise, unemployment, and corruption in particular. So people's dissatisfaction is there. But if UPA 1, 2 is going to be wiped out, it's neither the celebration for the NDA, because where is the NDA? And in all these places, because all this reason of corruption, malfunctioning, disunity is there with the NDA also. And now I think the regional parties and including the left, if they can do better, so the situation is till now very fluid.
Okay.
It is very fluid. And where from the NDA will get? They have their own, they have lost their own state like Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, and even now Karnataka. And now let there be election in Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, where mainly Congress and the BJP is there. Then only the clear picture will emerge,
okay,
and how far the Congress is going to lose, and out of that how far the NDA is going to gain.
Okay,
but if the NDA can keep its folk together, still now it is not sure.
Salim sir.
Okay, so Mr. Mittal, we've had opening remarks.
Saying that for winning wars,
Sir,
to lose battles at times.
Mr. Mittal, I know you want to say something. We've had opening remarks. I'm going to come to the rebuttal stage in just a bit. Please be patient. I want to go to M.R. Venkatesh. Now, he wrote a book on Dr. Manmohan Singh. It's called Dr. Manmohan Singh, The Decade of Decay. Mr. Venkatesh, you heard all the whole of my panel tonight say really what they thought went wrong in UPA 2. Some people think it's the mandate that made them lazy. Some people said external circumstances, corruption, corrupt allies as well. You wrote a book on the Prime Minister. Where do you think 2009 to 2013, what really happened, and was it just corrupt and capricious allies pulling the government down, or was it a more systemic, deep-rooted problem of corruption inside the Congress party?
I would say that there is a conspiracy of coincidences that has pulled down this government's performances. First of all, you must understand that the system of governance in this country is so bad, it's systemically so skewed that anybody who is corrupt can get away. And this government had more than enough share of corrupt who just carried on with their corruption and got away. So, and we didn't have enough checks and balances. I'm not a leftist, but I must tell you, between 2004 and 2009, the leftists did provide a moral compass. You may debate on the moral compass. You may say that that moral compass was good, bad, ugly, but there existed a moral compass. In 2009 to 2014, we don't have any moral compass, and not only that, the Congress party actually improved on its performances and the allies lost out. And the next party was either the Trinamool or your DMK, which was just 20 seats, whereas the Congress got more than 200 seats. It was a ratio of 10:1. So look at the big brother attitude. Nobody could call the Prime Minister and tell him, hey, look, you're wrong here. This is the systemic weaknesses that is crept in. You are not rectifying the systemic weaknesses. And between 2004 and 2008, the global economy, out of 184 countries, 180 countries recorded spectacular growth. So there was a high tide all around. India also participated in the growth. And when the party was over, in 2009, everybody was finding it difficult to record growth. And this is where I think that the economist Prime Minister must have put down his foot and said, this is what I want, these are the reforms I want. Unfortunately, in 2004 to 2008, they did not carry out enough reforms. And 2009 to 2013, the nation is paying for the profligacy of the government between 2004 and 2008.
Okay, fair point.
I differ by saying that Pranab Mukherjee is the cause. I would say that the performance of UPA 1 in not rebuilding the base, in not consolidating, that has resulted in this mess.
Okay, Mr.
Everybody
Venkatesh,
knew that this mess was
we
coming.
take your point. I partly agree with you. Professor Nalapat, profligacy from 2004 to 2009, that could be one reason. Also, did they try and push too many reforms in the second term, which they couldn't really do because of, circumstances?
Well, I mean, let me go back to Congress General Secretary Digvijay Singh and pointing out to this kind of dual centers of power. Politics and economics in governance are two sides of the same coin, or they should be two sides of the same coin. There should be a fusion of politics and economics so that you make sure that good politics is also good economics. Unfortunately, in UPA, especially very pronounced in UPA 2, it wasn't so visible in UPA 1. Politics has become divorced from economics, and with the result that there is now a situation in which both are suffering. The politics is suffering and the economics is suffering. So I would like to say that this is very clearly said that what is very, very important is whoever is the Prime Minister should also have political authority.
Right, and that's where Dr. Manmohan Singh suffered. When 2009 happened, people thought that, okay, fine, the first term he was under the shadow of the UPA chairperson. This time around, he's going to go and make his own mark. That didn't really happen. He was an economist Prime Minister, world-renowned economist who couldn't push his own economic reforms.
I think, as I said earlier, and I take my friend Sudhanshu Mittal's point that I overemphasized economics, but I think, the combination of losing his moral compass and then losing a sense of balance. This is a Prime Minister who should have moved much swifter when he saw the effect of the 2G scam. That took time. And then scam after scam, whether it was Commonwealth, whether it was Adarsh, whether it was Colgate, it was time to chop and chuck out. And there is where Mr. Nalapat's point comes, that if you don't have a moral compass and you don't have a unified center of power, then you are simply unable to govern. And governance is the root cause of a lot of today's situation and the criticism that the Prime Minister for the first time has to face squarely. It's now the buck stops with him.
So the BJP really has a point. There is a governance deficit in the country.
There's much more than a governance deficit, but governance deficit looms larger than almost everything else. There's also a vision deficit, okay? Because all they're doing at this point of time is a freebie free for all.
Okay.
And that's their only answer to a lack of vision.
I want to go to Mr. Mittal, but before that, sir, very quickly your point.
No, I get his point about the question of the leadership. The question is, what is the vision the leadership has got for the country? Unfortunately, we've been given no vision at all by the UPA leadership about where they want the country to go, and as a result the country is groping in the dark.
Okay, Mr. Mittal, there is this vague sort of vision that the Congress would like us to believe of financial inclusiveness and overall social inclusiveness as well, and that's what they keep driving home the point that there will be no growth without inclusiveness. Do you think that vision also is quite vague and not really can't be really put on paper and implemented?
You see, this is a jargon which is being used to confuse people. You know, they've been accusing BJP of having installed the Food Security Act and all that stuff. Let me call the bluff. You know how much money have they allocated? Allow me to speak. How much money have they allocated? Just 10,000 crores in this budget. I have before me the report of Commission of Agriculture Costs and Price. That report is titled National Food Security Bill, Challenges and Options, released in December 2012. The financial expenditure for food security bill has been estimated to be 6.8 lakh crores over 3 years, which means what? You need more than roughly 2.5 crores per year to meet this target. You are allocating 10,000 crores for this bill. I mean, look at the the fraud which is sought to be played. You know, everything is only vote politics oriented. It is not economic oriented. It is not social welfare oriented. It is only vote politics oriented.
Okay.
And blame the BJP, say they are not letting the parliament run, so we cannot pass. You know what is happening is there is lack of sincerity. As I said, the intent and the act both are absolutely questionable.
Okay.
Absolutely questionable.
Okay, you raise an interesting
like
point.
my friend just pointed out. Take the case of government's response.
You made an interesting point, and because you mentioned how much money it's needed to actually support the food security bill. The food subsidies in this country are going through the roof. Everyone knows that. You have a point there, but I want to go to Mohammad Salim right now and talk about the things that the government wants people to talk about. The direct cash transfers, the land acquisition bill they're saying is good for industry. The food security bill that Mr. Mittal just trashed is basically that the peg is that it will provide food to over 70% of an impoverished nation. Now, also, poverty has declined. According to the last economic survey, poverty has declined at a rate of 1.5% over the last 9 years. That's something to write home about. And these are government numbers, mind you, sir. Even though the gap between the rich and the poor has increased, they also have taken a call on diesel decontrol, something that even the NDA couldn't really do easily. Now, would you not say that they have had some hits? If they've had more misses, they've had some hits at least in the past 4 years?
Neither this way nor that way, because as rightly pointed out by some of the panelists, there is lack of vision. The government itself does not know where they intend to go or where they intend to take this nation. And on the other hand, when there is a pressure from the market, when the pressure from abroad, when the pressure from FIIs and the class which want to take away the entire resources of this country, the government is trying to address that issue, and maybe decontrol of fertilizer, decontrol of diesel, now decontrol of levy sugar, and this is how they are trying to please a section of the market forces. On the bringing the case of FDI you take in the retail sector, succumbing to the pressure in piecemeal, and on the other hand they are passing the burden on the common people. Even though the government statistics says that poverty has decreased slightly, but you see the gap between the rich and the poor, the have-nots and have-lots. It's not between have-nots and have. It's a have-nots and have-lots.
Okay.
And this is how you see this is impacting the market also. There are too many things in the market available, but there are too little customers. And that's what is impacting the economic growth also and the industrialization
Okay.
also.
Professor Nalapat, I want to cover a lot of distance in...
It's
Right,
jobless growth.
Right,
So
sir.
there is no job for the unemployed.
Right, I want to cover a lot of topics in very little time, so I'm going to try now. We've been talking about the economy now. Other factors that have basically tarnished the Prime Minister's image and the government's image: security bungles, internal security bungles. Some people say the foreign policy of this government is as rudderless as the government itself. Now, the way we dealt with China and the incursions, the way we dealt with Bangladeshi infiltrators and the infiltrators on the other side of the LOC in Poe, the way we dealt with Sri Lanka on the Tamil fishermen. Do you think that the performance of the UPA on these barometers has also been less than satisfactory?
Well, I think, you know, that it has been less than satisfactory, and the reason for that, I think, is very oddly enough. On the one hand, we have the image of the Prime Minister being, in a sense, without any real control. On the other hand, you have the reality of the Prime Minister's office that is extremely active in a lot of ministries, and in fact, not even allowing these ministries to operate on their own. The Ministry of External Affairs, for example, the Prime Minister's office input into that is total. And what has been the consequence? The consequence is, across our periphery, we have lost. We have lost influence in Sri Lanka, we have lost influence in Nepal, we have lost influence in the Maldives, we have had problems in Bangladesh, frankly. We were not able to back up a leader in Bangladesh who was friendly to India. In Pakistan, quite frankly, we don't know who's the friend and who's the enemy even now. Although Manmohan Singh has been very, very keen on peace with Pakistan, he invested a lot of effort. The problem here is actually intervening in some matters, not at all. The Prime Minister has got an economic vision which, frankly, he never bothered to educate the party about. He never bothered to convince the party about. And in matters of detail, interfering too much.
Dilip.
And just to add to Mr. Nalapat's point, also not daring to call the Chinese entry into India even an incursion.
It's an incident.
Call it an incident.
Yeah.
So I think that the double speak is carrying on too far, and it in some senses to the public that's watching, it smacks them in the face because there's no vision thing to cover it up.
Do you think that the Congress-led UPA government, and especially this second term under Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, has been the worst performance of foreign policy, as far as foreign policy is concerned, of any Indian government in the past 2 decades?
I would say that given the number of major failures, yes, and the second, even more dangerous, is having your entire periphery ringed by enemies directly inimical to you and in China's camp. I'm not a China baiter in any sense, but you can see that. You just have to travel to Sri Lanka to see that. It's happening in Nepal, it's happening everywhere. Pakistan, you don't even have to mention. So what I'm saying is that there are two major failures. One is not being able to do enough and all the stuff that's happened, and the fact that it's happening in your neighborhood. Dangerous, dangerous.
Mr. Venkatesh, Mr. Mitra, I'll come to you. Mr. Venkatesh, do you agree that at least in the past 4 years, India's foreign policy has been all over the place, there's been no sense of direction, and where we should have applied pressure, we failed to, and where we should have checked malpractices, we failed to? I'm talking about the government.
See, for me, the external affairs policy is a continuation of our economic policy. If you are strong and vibrant in economics, naturally people tend to make friends out of you. The moment people see that you are economically a weak performer, people tend to kick you between your thighs. Look at Sri Lanka. The entire edifice of our relationship should have been on economics, not on anything else. It was a country that was crying and asking us to build the Hambantota port. And instead we allowed the Chinese to come over there. Now we are surrounded by Chinese in the Sri Lankan island. Now then where is your economic policy and your foreign affairs policy meeting? They need to meet at some point of time. There is a co-terminus of both economic and foreign policy. We don't know how to dominate with our economics. We simply couldn't understand economics is a continuation of our foreign policy, and foreign policy is a continuation of our economic policy.
Right.
Second, our current account deficit, that is mounting by the day. I'm still surprised the rupee has not yet collapsed. I don't know, something is terribly wrong waiting to happen. And if, as a student of economics, I can tell you, that we still are holding at 55, that's a miracle. And if I have to say this, I have to believe, I have started believing in God only after seeing that the rupee is still holding at 55. Third,
So
if you
UPA
look
way
at
to
our
believe in God,
performance
sir.
on terror and tackling internal security, it's an absolutely. Last but not the least, the internal, we are still surviving at the mercy of our terrorists. Not that we have got some structure in place that helps us in tackling terror in some concrete way. Tell me one instance where the government has instilled confidence. Governments may come, governments may go, prime ministers may come, prime ministers may go. But what requires is the confidence that the country has, especially the youth have, in the system, in the governance, in the model of in the institutions that we have built up. Unfortunately, this government, when it demits office, would have left all these in tatters. The confidence of the average man
Mr. Mittal, I have about 30 seconds for you. Mr. Mittal, 30 seconds for you. Wrap this up for us really. Looking into the future, do you think that because this government, according to you and some other analysts, bungled up on the foreign policies, economics as well as corruption, do you think they will not come back to power and the NDA will?
Yes, without doubt. One more thing I just want to add to this debate. See, the Prime Minister of the country is the principal communicator of the acts of his government to the people. Here we have a Prime Minister who doesn't talk. We have a UPA chairperson who doesn't talk. We have the Vice President of Congress, the Crown Prince, who doesn't talk. Here is a government which does not even communicate with the people about what's happening. National security is an issue we are concerned about, but we don't know what is happening.
Fair point, sir. Fair point.
Terrorism is an issue we are all concerned about, but we do not know what is happening.
Okay, last word, Dilip, in 30
So
seconds.
this is a government which does not believe in communication.
Okay.
It does not believe in responsibility. It does not believe in accountability. It only believes in authority.
Okay.
Now, a system based on authority, no responsibility, no accountability cannot last.
Okay, there's one more year to go. There's one more year to go. Can they redeem themselves in that 1 year?
In this year, the factors to watch for are two, and they are outside the government. One is the CBI, and the other is the Supreme Court.
Okay.
It's a sad state of governance in this country where you have bodies like the CBI or the Supreme Court respected as both organized. One is a caged parrot and hoping to fly, and the other is really deciding things from IPL onto Colgate. So the point is that you are really going to have a government which continues to be on the ventilator and just coping to survive till election date.
Okay, we'll have to take a break now, but before I take the break, can he redeem himself? He's got less than a year.
100% he can. This is a country that really admires courage. It admires guts. It brought Indira Gandhi back to power in 1980, just 3 years after it threw her out. And if Manmohan Singh can take courage in his hands and act in a strong way, the way his admirers believed he could in 2004, I firmly feel he can redeem himself.
I see Dilip Shetty just shaking his head, but that's where we end the debate tonight, and the jury is still out on whether or not the Prime Minister will actually redeem himself.
For that.
Yes, absolutely. I have to end this particular debate right now. We'll take a small break. After that, we'll come back to the other big story of the day, IPL and Bollywood, both in a fix right now. Take a break, come back, don't go anywhere, keep watching NewsX. The IPL saga is unfolding like a B-grade masala pot boiler. Bollywood was always associated with the IPL, but now the seamy underbelly is what everyone is talking about. The arrest of Vindoo Singh, small-time actor, reality TV star, and now big-time betting conduit, has opened a can of worms that neither Bollywood nor the IPL are going to like. And with joining me tonight for this particular topic, Professor Nalapat continues to stay with us. Sudhanshu Mittal also is with us. Akshay Savai joins us from Bombay. He's a sports journalist. M.R. Venkatesh is also with us. Kancha Alaya, noted writer and author, also joins us on the NewsX debate. Many thanks, gentlemen, for staying on, and thank you for the new guests for joining in. I want to go to Akshay Savai first of all and ask him this. Is this then just the tip of the iceberg as far as the Bollywood connection with betting and fixing is concerned, Akshay? We just know at this point where Vindoo Singh is accused of being a conduit to the bookies, facilitator and, and a friend to the sports stars. We don't know yet if he was directly involved in fixing or not.
Yeah, that's right. I think the picture will get clearer in the coming couple of days. He's just been arrested this evening. We don't know what exactly he's revealed, how much he has revealed. But yeah, one just hopes that he reveals more information, because whatever is happening, it needs to be cleaned up for the sake of the credibility of the sport, for the credibility of the event, for the credibility of the BCCI. But I don't. Yeah, obviously it has to be the tip of the iceberg, because this is a huge thing. A lot of people have to be involved when you think about it. So I just hope he spills some beans that lead to solving this mystery.
Okay, Professor Kanja Elayya, many thanks for joining us first of all on the NewsX debate. What are your views on this? Now, the first Bollywood connection has been exposed. Fine, he is not a big-time actor or a team owner, but he is still part of Bollywood, and Bollywood comes out rushing to defend him, saying he can do no wrong. But has this now exposed the IPL's exposure to the seamy underbelly of Mumbai, of Bollywood?
No, see, the whole culture of cricket, particularly ever since the IPL started, was basically a competing money-making culture that they pushed into the realm of games. Therefore, everyone is trying to make fast buck out of this game, and that is where the bookies entered, that is where the players have become corrupt, that is where the whole drama is unfolding now. Now, there is a close connection between IPL and Bollywood. Look at the way the actors try to control the game right from the day one this whole drama started. Therefore, I think the whole nexus between Bollywood and the industrial forces that are controlling this kind of a game, which is not a real physical energizing game, but a business game in order to make money. Many companies are collapsing because of this game. Therefore, the corruption is increasing, and this is showing in the overall economy itself. I think we have to review this on a larger scale than on mere confining to the IPL and Bollywood.
Okay.
There is a corrupt, corrupt network that the whole country has spread about.
Okay, I want to go to Professor Nalapat, then Mr. Mittal. Professor Nalapat, this gets us back to the crucial question that everyone has been asking for the past 2-3 days, ever since this thing blew up, that the Bollywood influence and the glamour and the glitz associated with the IPL, has that just been too detrimental in destroying the fabric of the game inside India, or would you say that's too harsh and that's a generalization, or could there be something there?
Well, I'd like to point out that we are talking about IPL as a game, as sport, even as cricket. The fact is, IPL is nothing but pure entertainment. From the very beginning, it was there to get large audiences to come, to have receipts for the gate, to have huge ratings for viewers and audiences. So Bollywood is also about entertainment. IPL is about entertainment. So it's no surprise that these two have come together.
Right. Mr. Mittal, your views on this now. Basically, everyone is saying that because the IPL has been associated with these glamour girls and the glamour and the glitz, that's what's attracted all the muck towards it. Do you agree with that?
This is a very small perspective of the entire big issue. Fundamentally, if you look at it, this country has not had the resolve to fight corruption in sports. Take a case like Australia. They have something called National Integrity in Sports Unit. There is a whole body which looks at integrity or in sports. No cheating, no drugs, no underage players playing, no overage players playing, all kind of things. We've never had that. Our response in sports to manipulation has been lukewarm and has been to cover up things. Because the sports administration in this country is in the hands of people who are not interested in sports, but in using this as a social ladder for their social advancements. Thirdly, in terms of IPL, let us look at it. Look, I just saw a bite of Preeti Zinta just now, where she says, look, if you legalize betting in IPL, what will result is that such match fixing will not take place, or spot fixing will not take place. Look at the perverseness of the mind of somebody who owns a team. Look at the response. I'm aghast. Instead of being worried that such fixing takes place. And as a team, she should ensure that such manipulations are not there in her team.
Right.
She is saying legalize betting. Mysteriously, this will eliminate match fixing. What I'm just wanting to say, one last word.
Can
Look,
I make
in
a...
India,
Yeah, Akshay, I'll come to you. I'll come to you.
cricket is
Mr.
nothing
Mittal, very
less than
quickly.
a
Akshay, I'll come to you.
religion.
Yeah.
If God was to come, if just one minute,
yeah.
just 1 minute. If God was to come and if Sachin was to travel along with him, people will forget God and go to Sachin, because for them Sachin is God. With such mindsets, are you going to permit people's faith to get eroded and shattered by such dirty manipulations?
Right, the faith has been
Let's
shattered.
not
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Bollywood, these small-time manipulators.
I agree with you completely, Mr. Mittal.
Yeah.
Akshay has a point.
And
After,
it's a serious issue which requires a far more serious debate.
Akshay, you have a point. Make it quickly. I want to go to Srishant's lawyer who's joined us. Akshay, go ahead.
I'm just saying making betting legal is probably going to reduce the influence of the bookies and the scope of the bookies, and also it's going to earn tax for the government. What is anyway happening underground will be above board.
Right.
That's the only reason people recommend that.
Right. Okay. Fair point. Rebecca John has joined us right now on the NewsX debate. Mr. Mittal,
how does that eliminate sports fixing?
We'll come to
match
you.
fixing?
We'll come to you. We'll come to spot fixing and match fixing and elimination of it also. But Rebecca John has joined us right now. Rebecca, tell us, what are the charges exactly against Srishant?
The charges are common to all the people who have been arrested. It is not specifically against Srishant. The charges are of cheating, criminal conspiracy and criminal breach of trust.
Right. Rebecca, also Srishant was supposed to apply for bail today. The court hasn't granted him bail. Any particular reason the court gave?
Only when an application for bail is moved will the court take cognizance of the application and grant bail. We never asked for bail. Today the issue was whether he should be granted further police custody or whether he could be remanded back to judicial custody.
Okay, Rebecca, we have you for a short time, so I'll continue with you now. Srishant's involvement, it is said by a large section of the media and the press, is more than what is coming out. Can you throw some light on that?
A person is entitled to a fair trial, and Srishant has vehemently denied the allegations against him. As his counsel, I have not seen anything which will suggest that he's involved in a manner greater than what is being projected at this point in time.
Does the Delhi police, Rebecca, have a strong criminal case against Srishant, or do you think that the case that the Delhi police has against Srishant in particular is sort of flimsy on criminal grounds?
I can only say that Srishant's defense is fairly strong and the case of the prosecution is quite weak. But given the fact that so much media attention has been focused on this case, naturally it will take time before Srishant can bring out his side of the story.
Rebecca, has the Delhi police produced any evidence against Srishant till now?
The prosecution really doesn't have a case against Srishant. The case against Srishant is limited to a match he played between where he represented Rajasthan Royals, and the match was against Kings 11 Punjab on the 9th of May 2013. The allegation is that he bowled an over in that match where he underperformed and he gave away runs on the asking of certain bookies. Unfortunately for the prosecution, there is no evidence to suggest that Srishant was in touch with any bookie. Furthermore, there is no evidence to suggest that Srishant had in fact agreed to do what the bookies were saying he was going to do. And in that over, which the prosecution claims he underperformed, there were 2 dot balls. One ball went for just a single run. No wide, no ball, no extra was bowled. So really, I don't know how the prosecution is going to prove that in fact he underperformed in that over.
Okay, Rebecca John, many thanks for joining us. We know you have to go. Rebecca John is a lawyer for Srishant, saying that she doesn't believe that the prosecution has a strong case against Srishant. Of course, she is the defense lawyer and she's expected to say that. We'll have to see, wait and watch what evidence does Delhi police and the prosecution really produce against Srishant. Going back to Mr. Kancha Ilaiah, Professor Ilaiah, you heard what the lawyer for Srishant had to really say, and you also heard what Mr. Mittal had to say, saying that this is part of the larger picture. This is a very small tip of what the problem really is. Now, would you be surprised I mean, Bollywood is really no stranger to the underworld. We all know that ever since the 80s, and some people say even the 70s, early 70s, you know, the film world has been linked with the mafia, and in fact share a very, very peculiar sort of a relationship with the underworld. So would you be surprised if more skeletons really tumbled out of the closet, and we come to know that Bollywood really is entrenched in what we know as spot fixing and betting?
You know, the Bollywood even now has lot of underworld connections that each time we keep listening about that. But what is surprising for a social scientist like me is the way we worked out the whole psyche of the nation with a game called cricket, and particularly with this so-called, you know, IPL kind of a game that has been brought into everyday life of the middle class of this country. Now, this is where the middle class and the players and the actors who are buying, the companies who are buying, the newspapers who are owning these, you know, these players, they all try to make money in such a manner that any kind of money is good enough to make. And in the process, bookies come in the process, the players become corrupt, in the process, everything becomes normless. Now, this is where the nation should be concerned. On the one side, we see a big campaign of corruption is going on. There is a huge demoralization of economy, demoralization of polity, and here demoralization of sports and demoralization of film industry.
Okay.
Now, how does the nation survive with this kind of a culture?
Very pertinent question you're asking, sir. I want to go to Akshay. Before I go to Akshay, before I go to Akshay, I want to go to Professor Nalapat. Does this then reinforce the view that this 2-minute masala noodle, instant noodle cricket is basically, with all the glamour and the party, some people even go on to say that it's debauchery, some people would have called it, have just turned the game into a quick money-making enterprise and has killed the spirit of the game? Would you agree with that?
Well, you know, I'd like to point out that, I mean, we saw that Joint Commissioner of Police in Mumbai talking about Hawala. In Mumbai, if you go, let's say you go to some areas of Mumbai, you throw a stone.
You find a Hawala operator.
You'll hit at least 10 Hawala operators that single stone.
Right.
So the fact, in my personal view, these three people who are there, it's like the lizard's tail. You know, you take off the lizard's tail, everybody chases the tail. The lizard escapes. The fact is that these three people are the tail of this whole scandal. And who are the lizards? And this is what's very important is to catch the main perpetrators.
Akshay Sawai, is this the lizard's tail that Professor Nalapat mentioned? Is this just going to grow back? You can catch the 3 small fish or the 7, 9 small fish that have been accused, but the main lizard is going to get away like always?
Yeah, somewhere that is my fear, that this will all be forgotten pretty soon. Next year everyone will tune into the IPL again. So because memories are short. Also, we as a nation, we are so, I mean, problems are there everywhere. Every second day there are people dying and there are scams taking place. So, you know, corruption in a sport is a relatively, I'm sorry to say this, but it's a relatively minor issue. So people will get over this pretty quickly. That's my fear. My only hope is that the BCCI will take a lesson out of this. The criticism will get to them somewhere, and really get to the root of this.
Okay.
You know, because the BCCI is not at all popular with the other boards.
I'm glad you mentioned the BCCI. I'm glad you mentioned the BCCI. We have BCCI's Lawyer Rajneet Kumar. Sir, I know I have very little time, but I want to ask you a couple of rapid-fire questions. What is your reaction to the Supreme Court slamming the BCCI for their handling of the IPL in relation to the fixing?
No, I'm nobody to agree or disagree. In a matter of the court, the observation is of the court, and the court felt that the matter should be decided quickly so that the game is restored to its original glory of a gentleman's game.
Sir, the Supreme Court also said the BCCI is lackadaisical in handling and has gone soft on fixing. Do you agree with the SC's view on this?
No. I don't think they were critical. I was appearing for BCCI in Supreme Court today, and the Supreme Court only said that you must conclude this inquiry as soon as possible, and you must make sure that the aberrations that are happening in the game should be quickly taken care of and should not happen in the future. This in short and gist was the nature of the order.
Okay, one last question, sir. Are you confident that the remaining matches in the IPL will be clear from fixing? Because nobody believes that now.
How can I vouch for anything in the future? I am not a foreteller. I cannot vouch for anything in the future. If something is unearthed, if something is found, I as a lawyer sitting here can't say anything, can't predict anything. But I am sure and I hope that things will be all right. And I would like that everything should be in proper way and proper perspective. There should not be any misdeed. And I think the BCCI has also put up people to make sure that there are no misdeeds.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ranjit Kumar. Mr. Mittal, you heard the BCCI lawyer. We are living on hope that the IPL will not be fixed anymore, and we hope the IPL will go on smoothly, clear of fixing. That's what the BCCI hopes.
There is a saying, हमको मालूम है जन्नत की हकीकत लेकिन दिल के खुश रखने को गाली दिए ख्याल अच्छा है.
It's a very old saying.
The BCCI is not interested in doing BCCI is not interested in doing anything. They are only trying to showcase a few actions here and there to say, no, we are serious. You know, I have this Yashwant Sinha committee which looked into all the misdeeds about cricket and all. You know, there are enough things on record in terms of how BCCI is operating and what are the misdeeds. Their lack of seriousness, their lack of accountability, their lack of transparency, their lack of openness about their entire functioning is a subject matter this nation should debate. Why is BCCI not under IRTI? Why is BCCI not an open house where the decision taken are transparently done? Why is the financial misdeeds or see, you are talking about thousands of crores,
right.
And there is no accountability of the money which is spent. There's no openness about it. There's no information about it. See, this government has been fighting shy of taking on BCCI because of the powerful people who are involved in the administration of BCCI.
Right, correct.
It is time that because of the public pressure, the government is compelled to take on the BCCI to ensure there is complete transparency and to ensure there is complete accountability of the acts and deeds of the BCCI.
Okay, Mr. Mittal, I have only time for one last question. MR Venkatesh has been sitting very patiently. Akshay, I'll come to you if I have time. Alpesh Patel, Mr. Venkatesh, has been arrested by the Mumbai police. 1.28 crores rupees have been found from him. Now, there is a trail that the police have their noses on. Now, there's a thumb rule in investigative journalists: follow the money trail. Now, there is a money trail and the police have a scent of the money trail. This could lead us to places that the public might not be very happy to see. I'm talking about pop culture icons who might or might not be involved up to their noses. Do you think we should just follow the money, or do you think the police is on the right track following the money?
Yeah, the police is right on the track and following the money. I'm sure you're just talked about the two front ends, namely the Bollywood and the cricketers. But I'm sure if you dig the money trail, you are going to get industrialists, you are going to get politicians, and you are going to get your own brothers from the media. And of course, from my profession to chartered accountants, who are going to be there in the whole mess. So this is going to be a much a nasty position that we are going to confront with.
Right.
Two, all this, I know, given the track record of this country, we've 10 years back we had Mohammad Azharuddin and Jadeja being accused. 10 years down the line, I will see Srishant becoming a honorable member of the Lok Sabha. That's what I'm predicting at this point in time.
Let's just hope,
because we don't have the mechanism. We don't have the mechanism.
Okay.
So,
okay,
we have a very illustrious
I think
example.
Akshay, very quickly.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, what ultimately will happen, what ultimately could happen, because because all kinds of powerful and influential people are involved in the cricket establishment, from the political establishment and the business establishment. So ultimately they'll say there's not enough proof, and then the show will go on. That's what will happen.
Okay, the show might just go on, and
That is the fear.
That is the fear, of course. I must wrap this particular debate on that point. Of course, the investigations are still on. Everyone accused is not guilty. They're innocent till it's proven that they're guilty, and that's where we leave tonight's debate. I must thank all my guests before I leave. Professor Madhav Nalapat, Sudhanshu Mittal, Kancha Iraiya, Akshay Sawai and M.R. Venkatesh. Many thanks for joining us on the NewsX debate. That's all the time we have. This is the NewsX debate. I'm Asad Khan. Good night.